Prodovite. Nutrition that gets in.
Also, we have a wonderful testimony tonight from a gentleman in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Stanley S. Stanley, how are you doing tonight?
I'm a blessed man. Praise God.
Yes, you are, and I hear that every time from you, and it's absolutely true. We just heard a rather dramatic testimony, and I know that I've heard yours, and I've had your hospitality in Lancaster, so I'm very excited for you to share what's going on in your life with the product. Would you do that now?
Sure. Okay. My name is Stanley S, and I'm from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And I've been a very sick man, sick a lot of my life. I had severe back pains, not knowing why. And it comes to me about sicknesses. Be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. And that so happened with good nutrition. I'm in tune with my body quite well. You know how when we're hungry, we eat. Well, my body tells me what I need, but I was struggling knowing what I need. And Bill Downs was a very helpful person in nutrition. He did not diagnose anything for me. He just gave me, recommended some nutrition for me, which was wonderful. I finally took a CAT scan after being sick from January of last year, January 2013. And now we were in November, and I took a CAT scan, and I was diagnosed with an extreme case of diverticulitis. And my back pains were so intense that sometimes I would end up on my elbows and my knees trying to get relief, which was a wonderful place to be. But, you know, you can't live there all the time. I was so much in pain, I would just groan. I was just traumatized. I basically could not eat. So after taking bromelain and quercetin and some digestive enzymes and Prodovite, it was amazing. The Prodovite, of course, I got my hands on before I got my hands on anything else, and I could feel the Prodovite working in my arms in about 5-10 minutes. And it's kind of hard to say, yes, I'm getting relief, but the next day, I knew I was getting relief. And the following day, it continued, and the following day it continued. I started out by taking 3 capfuls a day. I took a capful 3 times a day of the Prodovite, and I found out that when I took it, my pain lessened. And so this took me some time. Since I'm quite in tune with my body, I discovered that I need to take it more often. And I started taking it on my 2nd or 3rd bottle. I started taking it every 2 to 3 hours because my pain would increase in between. And I started telling Bill, my body screams for this product. It just screams. And it did. I first noticed 2 of my ruptures. The pain went out of them, and they disappeared in my colon, in my gut. But I still had the big balloon on my left side that was the size of a grapefruit or 2. You can't quite tell, but The point is, one day, I don't know. I think, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. And you can add good nutrition on the back of that. It just seemed like the Lord told me to put a half a cup of Prodovite in with my Inflammacor, my bulk formula I was taking for my colon. And I did that for twice a day. I put a half a cup of Prodovite and a scoop and a half of bulk formula, mixed it up. Then I added hot water to finish filling up the cup, warm water, I should say. And that tasted so good. It was so soothing. And it seemed like I didn't have to take Prodovite every 2 hours. 2 to 3 hours. My body was more satisfied. On the fourth day, sometime between the fourth and fifth day, this big balloon on the left side just disappeared. And only one time since, I don't know what happened. No, must have been something I ate. Did I feel it slightly come back? But it wasn't back like it was. And like tonight, I came home from work. I was working Sunday afternoon. We got a snowstorm started, and I started working about 3 o'clock, and I worked around the clock. And during that, so I didn't get to bed until about 5 o'clock tonight. During that period of time, I was able to get 3 hours of sleep. So that's how much I've been going, where previously, I couldn't be up more than 3 hours until I had to lay down. That's how sick I was. I had that, back to that, maybe I'm jumping ship here a little bit, back to that, the grapefruit size, that thing disappearing. Tonight I took special notice. Where is it? It's gone. That side feels wonderful. It feels good. And I'm starting to have more normal bowel movements, where for a year, about the only thing I could deliver was diarrhea. And one more thing on this nutrition is that I'm able to eat. I lost weight. I'm satisfied. My muscle movements are greatly enhanced. I can lift my legs. I can stand on one foot. My balance is better. It is, I am blessed. I'm sorry. I am just so blessed. I could cry right now.
And you're good looking too.
And you're good looking, Stanley. There's nothing to be sorry about. And I saw you up when Bill and Kim Downs and I went up to the meeting in Lancaster. You look wonderful. And more than anything, I noticed the smile you had on your face.
Paul, thank you. I had a nephew tell me when he seen me in first part of January, 1,000 miles away. He said, "Stanley, you look better than you did when you were in your 20s." And I'm 52, I think. Well, one more thing I noticed is the old man syndrome disappears.
Don't tell me what that is, please.
I'm not.
Yeah, okay. Let me make a comment.
Go ahead,
when we were together at that meeting that Stanley put together, before that, and I don't know how much before that, but when I saw him, the first time I saw him, he probably wouldn't carry anything heavier than a pair of gloves because it would burst his colon. He couldn't put any strain on. So we're at that meeting, and he's carrying around a printer like a big laser printer. He's walking around, and he bumped into me with it, and he had a twinkle in his eye, and I thought he just kind of, barged into me, made a mistake, and he took the printer out to the car, and he came back in, and he poked my arm, and I looked at him, and he said, "You don't get it, do you?" And I said, "Get what?" He said, "I just bumped you with a printer." And it just dawned on me at that moment that this guy is carrying a printer, and he hasn't been able to lift anything, heavier than a knife, fork, and a spoon for a year. It was amazing.
Sometimes I couldn't reach out and get my cup on the table.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I guess the word that I get is profound, unbelievable. Steve and Bill, what can you say?
Stanley said it all for me.
and again, thank you for sharing the story. I think it's interesting that Stanley allowed his intuition to come into play, and who knows, maybe his intuition was even heightened by the nutrition coming into his system, allowing him to be more in touch with his body, what he needed, what had to be done to affect a healing to take place. And, I know he was using the other supplements, and that's great because they're anti-inflammatory. And I'm convinced that the anti-inflammatory helped the Prodovite, but the Prodovite certainly helped the anti-inflammatories work better as well, providing a lot of the raw materials his body needed to create other anti-inflammatory chemicals and get rid of toxins and so on. So it's pretty interesting what your body can do for itself when you give it a chance, and especially when you become in tune to it.
Yeah, well, one of the other things is that, Paul, when you started this out, you said, it's amazing the range of issues that the body seems to fix. This is not a condition-specific formula. This is just super good overall nutrition. The other thing that's important is that while the intake level on the product is 1 ounce per day, that intake level is pretty much targeted at the average person who just wants to take their health as high as it can be in their situation, and not for people that are down in the basement or lower in terms of where their health is, and they're struggling to try and get back to optimal health. There are times, as Stanley did, which he shocked me when he told me he was taking a half a cup twice a day. But there are times when the body has such a need, as Stanley had said, his body was screaming for the Prodovite, and he told me that a number of times, and he fed it. And when he finally went to a half a cup 2 times a day, he had some just miraculous results. The body, it was just, the product is just super nutrition again. The body performs the miracles, and it enabled the body to do some things that it could not have ever done on the lesser dosage level. So, we structured this so that it would satisfy the basic needs of everybody on a daily basis for 30 days. But in certain times, what's the old saying? If you don't have your health, what good are riches? Stanley's a classic example that, he would give anything to have his health back. And now he's got his health back, and he doesn't have to give up anything anymore. He can really enjoy life to the fullest, and that's just an amazing treasure.
Stanley, this is Paul. Before I open up the lines, who gave you the product? Who had the belief and the courage to walk up to you and give you the product?
Well, excuse me. Abner and Mike, are friends of mine, and I knew it was coming. I knew it was around. I was just kind of waiting on them to get their act together, and Dad invited me to come out to a meeting, and I was too sick to answer the phone. And so finally, when I was sitting at my kitchen table, I gave them a call, and they were about less than a mile down the road from me at the restaurant. And when Bill heard my sickness, he started speaking, and I said, I want to meet this man. And so they came to my kitchen table. and I'm very, very grateful and appreciated for that, Bill. I know you wanted to go home, but you care more about the sick than you do about yourself. And that is a little bit why I find myself hurt and wounded sometimes, because I don't take care of myself ahead of the needs of others. And but that is, we can also reap benefits and blessings, but sometimes God says, whoa, take care of yourself.
Very good point. I just want to thank Abner Fisher and Mike Graney, because of their belief in the product so much that they wanted to get it in your hands. And that's kind of what we're all about at Victory First. Wonderful testimonies. It's fabulous to get on the product and see what your body needs. And at the same time, the feeling of giving the product to somebody who really needs it is just awe-inspiring. And that's kind of what we're all about. We are beacons of health and abundance, and we kind of shine that way.